I am Ricky Yean, and I am co-founder and CEO of a company called Crowdbooster.com. And what Crowdbooster.com does, simply put, is Google Analytics for social media. That means we track your Facebook pages, your Twitter accounts to tell you how many retweets you got, how many impressions you received. But going beyond that, we analyze the data to suggest actions that you can take to get more exposure for your messages and get more interactivity from your audience. So an example of that would be a suggestion about the best times to post a message based on when your followers are active and when historically have you performed the best. And going forward, thinking about what kind of content you should be creating. And it's going to be a really powerful tool for social media managers in every business to understand how they can market better on social media. Y-Combinator, we graduated from Stanford in June 2010, and joined Y-Combinator right away. And it was a great experience. We found a lot of other startups sort of in the same stages, working just like us, trying to figure out, create something that people want, how to create something that people want. And many companies go through several iterations and a lot of hard times. And so it was really great to have that camaraderie in Y Combinator in the summer, because building startups is definitely really, really tough. So that was my sort of gist about Y Combinator.
And a little bit more about, kind of your customer development and iterations. So what did you start off with, and how did you get to this current idea?
Yeah, so we actually started 3 years ago, believe it or not, when David and I were just really excited about Twitter. We want to do something. All these conversations are public, and there must be something that we can do there. So we started working on a couple different ideas, starting off with how can we make customer service easier using Twitter for businesses. Going from that to creating spontaneous conversations on Twitter, helping people find other people with similar interests. Even a sports application that tells you when, that would tweet at you when a baseball game is exciting to watch, because we didn't have time to watch baseball in college. So we just want to know, when should we turn on the TV and watch like the last inning or something. So we built all these products and forced our friends to use it, but no one wanted to use them. So that was really discouraging, but we were still just fascinated by Twitter. And when we joined Y Combinator, we applied with a different idea. During the middle of the summer, we went through 2-3 more iterations of the product. And at the time, we were focused on helping people run marketing campaigns on Twitter. So getting people to retweet your message for you, running promotions and sweepstakes. And we ended up learning that, well, what companies were really interested in was a long-term solution to interact with their fan base, to grow their fan base. So it's not just about sending out one promotion and getting 1,000 fans in return, but how can you, over the course of the next few years, interact with your fans so that they really love you, they really engage with you, and they opt in to receive messages from you, even when you don't offer them any kind of incentives, just because they love you. So how can we build something that can really help businesses do that? So that's when we started building Crowdbooster.
So how did you kind of, when you understood that, okay, the initial ideas weren't getting people excited, how did you encourage yourself to go on, and how did you know where to go?
So I think a big part was Y Combinator. Just being, one time we went to San Francisco and we described our product and show our prototype to some different businesses there and say, hey, would you like this? If we could do this, would you want it? And they were nice and they said, oh, maybe, but really we can tell they just didn't really like it. And on the drive down to Y Combinator, we didn't talk to each other the entire way down from San Francisco to Mountain View. And there was no radio in the car. So it was just pretty sad. And then we got to Y Combinator that night, and another team comes over, heads down, really depressed. And we were like, hey, what's going on? And they also just went to San Francisco. They also just got shot down by a bunch of different businesses. And so immediately misery found company, and we motivated each other to keep going. And that's the story from Y-Combinator. And also with my teammates, we constantly were just kind of encouraging each other, coming up with more ideas even when we think we're running out of them. And I think that's a critical part to keep going. And also at the same time, we always experiment and put products out there and have it withstand the test of the market. And many times it doesn't stand up to the market, but we learn that at least we give it a try every single time. So.
All right, that's really inspiring. Do you have any other kind of tips for up-and-coming entrepreneurs who find out that their initial idea wasn't working and they should kind of pivot?
Yeah, so I mean, do it. I think many people are married to their initial idea, but I think you have to have that mental capacity to change and flexibility to change and adapt. I think ultimately the companies that succeed at the end they just basically can go through multiple iterations. I think there's a study coming out from Black Box, which is an incubator, that said something like founders that pivot 3 or 4 times have a higher success rate than others. So just know that. And if you haven't pivoted before, maybe you're lucky and you will be successful. But know that after a few iterations, most people tend to be more successful. Yeah.
All right. Last question. Tell us a little bit about SSE Labs. How did SSE Labs end up being here with AOL, and what's your relationship with SSE Labs?
Sure. So this space that we're in right now is a co-working space called SSE Labs, which stands for Stanford Student Enterprises, and it's a nonprofit initiative from Stanford University's student government that basically creates a program and a working space and and gives resources to Stanford students. So if you're a Stanford student, you can apply, and they move you in here for the summer, or if you applied in the winter, they move you in here in the winter and give you mentorship, give you some money to work on it so you can feed yourselves, and give you a community to work with. And that's really cool. My involvement, I'm an entrepreneur in residence at SSE Labs, which means we've graduated from Stanford, but we mentor and we help them out when they come in. So yeah, that's SSE Labs, and AOL is generous enough to give SSE Labs a space out here. So.
All right. Thanks so much, and the best of luck to you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, best of luck to you too.